Yeah, let's
We're
do it.
gonna we're gonna start off the show by talking about the Galactic Starcruiser at Disney World
Oh,
shutting
no.
down.
I'm so disappointed by that.
Oh, man.
I'm so
I know,
goddamn.
right?
I'm not even being sarcastic right now. I
Really?
legitimately am. Yeah.
So,
I
basically,
Why?
Disney World's costly Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser is going to close in September, and basically, the voyage, the package for this thing cost around $1,200 per person per day, with family packages reaching closer to $6,000 for the 2-day excursion. Basically, you could actually have a week-long trip for a family for less money, going to a typical Disney vacation. But the main gist of the overarching story of the experience goes as follows. You're a passenger on the Star Cruiser for a 2-day voyage. During that trip, a First Order officer and several stormtroopers board the ship to root out resistant spies. Alongside these villains are spies, musicians, rebels, and reluctant heroes, everything that makes up a Star Wars story. And of course, some familiar faces also appear, including Chewbacca, Rey, and Kylo Ren. Disney reportedly spent $2 billion to construct its 2 immersive Star Wars parks in Florida and California, though it's unclear if the cost of building the Star Cruiser is included in the sum. I'm pretty sure it is. But the issue I have with this article is that the big draw was Kylo Ren and Rey. I think if thank you, Tom. So I think that if we had actually had like actual Star Wars in this,
Right.
like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, the Millennium Falcon, Han, Chewie, like it would have, even though it was expensive, more people would have gone to it. It would have been
Yep.
more successful. Nobody wanted to go and experience the sequel trilogy.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Matt Vader 74,
Uh,
what's your take on Galactic Starcruiser shutting down?
well, it's just like you said. I commented when it came out that this thing was overhyped, overpriced, and completely set in the wrong era of Star Wars, and that's why it failed. And I haven't had anybody convince me otherwise of this yet. If it had been set in the original trilogy era that we all grew up with and love, I feel like it probably would be selling out 3 years in advance.
Yep.
So I mean, having Darth Vader do a raid on the thing or whatever with Luke Skywalker and Han and Chewie and stuff in there would have made a massive difference, I think, as far as attendance in this thing. And as far as the thing itself, the videos I've seen, the stuff that's in there, it looks pretty lame to me. I mean, the activities seemed very limited. The food seemed very weird and kind of just like normal food with weird food coloring and stuff thrown in it. They have an excursion out to Star Wars Land or whatever they call it there, and that comes with a regular price of a park ticket, right? So I don't know, man. I think it just is one of those things that they probably overthought and thought was going to be cool, but in the end, isn't. You know what I mean? I and I just it's just one of those things that the more I looked into it, the more I told myself I'm never going to do this. And if you look at the rooms, they're tiny little rooms, and you're sleeping in little cubby holes inside the wall. And they got weird little monitors and screens and stuff that probably don't do anything, and it's just
No
the whole
no
experience.
TV, actually.
Yeah, the whole
No
experience
cable
just looked.
TV.
Yeah, the whole experience just looked lame, to be perfectly honest with you. So
And there were like a whole bunch of hidden costs too. Like if you wanted a
Yeah.
lightsaber, that was going to be like an extra $500
Yeah.
or something like that. There's no TV in these rooms, so you can just
Right.
chill out in the room and watch TV and stuff like that. It's very bizarre. But Brian, you said that you were disappointed because you wanted to experience this. What's that all about?
Yeah. Every one of your criticisms is 100% valid. It's set in the wrong place. Why is there no TV? The rooms look like they're cramped. Doesn't look from the outside looking in like the best experience. And to top all that off, it's just too expensive.
Mhm.
However, since I was a wee lad, I have dreamed of being a billionaire and making a Star Wars hotel. I've always thought it would be so rad to visit a themed hotel, a themed sci-fi hotel. And when I saw this happening, I was stoked. I'm like, even if it's subpar, Like, I would like to experience that with my kids. I have literally been saving money to do this. I'm not going to save enough before it closes. I'll guarantee you that. Between airfare and the actual cost of the thing. So I just thought I was gonna have a few more years to get down there and check it out. Not that I think it's gonna be some amazing thing, but like I'm just trying to check a bucket list off and experience that with my kids before they're too old. Like once your kids get late teens, like they don't want to do shit with you. So that's my thought.
True. That's very true. Primitive ramblings. What's your ramblings
yeah,
about this?
I don't really understand the idea, as you were saying, like why they would go with Rey and Kylo Ren. It's like, if you went original trilogy with it, it's more likely to get people there. But I think it's just more evidence, that points to how sort of dead Star Wars is. Star Wars is essentially, a reanimated corpse that breaks wind now and again. That's really kind of how I look at it. And just to go with the idea of Rey, Kylo Ren, and even the Chewbacca that they had in that, because I remember covering it when like they first opened up, and like the Chewbacca like costume looked terrible. Just everything in it looked really bad. And you've also got the price for it, like $6,000, a lot of family for 2 days, and then even from what I understand, it's like you're very stuck to a schedule. But you've got very limited, well, I want to go and do this. You've got to kind of stick to.
Yeah, it's supposed to be interactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tom Connors, that Disney spent a bunch of money building these like Star Wars additions to their theme parks, and this was supposed to be like a boutique hotel experience catering to like the super hardcore Star Wars fans, but it didn't give the super hardcore Star Wars fans anything they wanted. So it was left with like kind of like the filthy casuals who could afford such a thing. I mean, like for 2 people for 2 nights, you're looking to spend around $5,000 just in like the hotel, and they only had like 100 rooms there. So the idea that they're shutting it down so soon means that it wasn't making them any money. In fact, it was probably costing them money. So
no, in
what's your
fact,
take
it
on
wasn't
this?
going to make any money. Mikey, our buddy in the chat there, Mexican Iron Man, actually did the math because he's an accountant, if you don't know that. And he figured at the rate they were going, it would take them 1,000 years to be profitable.
Wow.
He wasn't even kidding. He's not being hyperbolic either. There was no way they were going to make that money back.
Is that assuming that they're booked like a regular hotel?
He booked it. Yeah, he did an average because they're losing money. That's what he was saying, is no matter how you cut it, they're losing money because you got to pay all the overhead, all the actors, everything like that. At the end of the day, even though they were charging that much money, it was never going to make it.
How many? I wonder what their capacity was. How many people they could?
I think it was 100 was the total.
It was 100 rooms.
Yeah,
100 rooms. Yeah,
so probably 2 people per room or whatever.
No, it's 4 people. Two adults,
you
2
could
kids
fit
per
4
room.
people in them rooms.
Yeah. Well, it's designed for 2 adults and 2 kids. I've looked into it. Yeah, I don't know about losing money. I do know this though. I have a friend who is an influencer. I guess that's what we are on YouTube, and he's got about 800,000 subs, and he actually got a free trip.
Well, yeah.
And he took his kid and his wife, and he was like, it was awesome, had a great time. I'm like, would you be saying the same thing if you just spent $15,000? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Disney should have done is they should have just opened up the rooms for free, and then like gouged them on like special Star Wars food, special Star Wars.
Well,
the movie theater model.
Listen,
Yeah, exactly.
this has been done before, and it was done very successfully for quite a few years before they shut it down. And that was here in Vegas at the Hilton, at the Star Trek experience. It wasn't. They had the hotel. It was built in the hotel.
It wasn't. But it wasn't. You didn't stay in the station, though.
And that's the whole thing. But you went into the station. They had the casino in the station.
I visited every year for like 10 years straight. Yeah,
and it was awesome. And you went in. You had the
interactive
things. You had Quark's Bar.
But I really wish I could have stayed on DS9 though. Well, that's what I wanted. I wanted to stay in a cabin and experience it.
And experience hearing Worf and Dax in the room next to you getting busy.
Yeah, just getting busy. I want to hang out with Mort at the bar and play Dabo. I'm just saying, like, look. I'm too
get
old
it.
to LARP, so like,
Yeah.
I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it.
Hey guys, if you could do me a quick favor, if you like this episode and it tickles your fancy, or any other episode that we've done in the past, share it on social media and tag us in that post so that we know you're talking about us, and we will immediately jump onto that app and we will respond to your tag, and we can talk about what you like about the episode and possibly talk about something that we might want to cover in the future. And we would love to bring you in our community. We have a wonderful Discord app as well. There's a bunch of people in there that just love chatting with us. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you like this podcast, tag us in that post and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you guys so much. Back to the podcast.
But I think
That's what I'm
to Vader's point, it's like, you know, they could have gone like a more traditional route with the hotel.
You're
and
right.
Had elements inside the hotel that recreated, you know, Star Wars. Like, for instance, how cool would it be to go into the Mos Eisley Cantina? And have,
Oh
like,
God,
a
yes.
beer, you know? How great would it be to walk down the corridor of the Death Star? You know, there's a lot of stuff that they could have done far cheaper.
They could have skipped the
better.
hotel and just made a Star Wars experience.
Yeah, they could have just built a regular hotel, right?
Mhm.
And
Right.
they wouldn't need to charge like $1,200 a night for it. But
Yeah, but then you could charge for the attraction of the, you know, like they charge for the Star Trek experience. They charge for that.
yeah,
I'd,
but
I'd much rather spend $25 on a Warp Core breach drink than you know.
Yeah.
Lots of other
Oh my
stuff.
God, was that the drink that was like the size of
Fog,
a bucket,
the
a 5 yeah.
bowl, and the dry ice and stuff coming out. Yeah,
It was like a 5-pound bucket with dry ice in it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, but would you guys actually want to spend so like for you and your wife close to $5,000 for 2 nights to hang out with Kylo Ren and Rey?
No.
No, and that's another thing. Like, you know, I was saving money to go do this, but I could have busted out the credit card and went into debt, and I would have done that had it been my Star Wars. But because it wasn't my Star Wars, I dragged my heels.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of nerds out there that would spend an insane amount of money just to hang out with,
I mean,
you know.
It's 2 days of LARPing and watching, you know, a bunch of cosplayers pretend to be Rey
Well,
and
you know what?
these other characters. Like, it's not worth $6,000. It's their own fault for spending $1 billion on this piece of crap.
And
At the end of the day, they should feel bad. Sorry, go ahead, man.
No, that's the other thing, Tom. I don't mean to cut you off, but you know, I don't want to be trapped anywhere where I can't escape with a bunch of blue-haired, shaved head SJW weirdos. You know, because it's like you go to a Star Trek convention and you get put in a room with all these people. I just have an instant flee response. You know what I mean? So yeah, scary.
But I want to throw this back to Tom because this is coming on the heels of a lot of austerity measures that Disney is doing because they announced that they're basically like losing a ton of money. So like they're laying off a bunch of people.
Mhm.
Basically, Disney Plus is a disaster. They're sunsetting a bunch of content on there. Their franchises are all in the toilet. They've been spending more money on content than they've been pulling in. Their theme park division is the only thing that's kind of been keeping them afloat, but that's all overseas as opposed to domestically. So like, what does this tell you about the overall general health of Disney as a company?
Not good. They're not in a good
Yeah,
place
not
right
good.
now.
Nope.
They have got to figure out a way to generate some revenue fast. In fact, there's a magic number that keeps popping up, and it's that $3 billion, right? That they,
Oof.
you know, that they seem to have to kind of try and find a way to come up with. And that's probably part of the reason why they're shutting down all these shows on Disney Plus. I think some people's, this is one of the few times I'm going to agree with some of the people on that side of the aisle when they're going off on what normally would seem like a conspiracy theory, but they're right. There's no other reason to really take these shows off of Disney Plus unless you're just not wanting to pay residuals. That's really what it boils down to. Is I don't think there's much they can write off on them because it just, they don't have to pay anybody then, and they can move them to other places. Like they can sell them to Netflix, or, you know, they can move them on ABC on TV or something like that. So I don't think that's not above the realm of possibility, but yeah, that's where Willow and all these shows got taken down. And that's probably the main reason they are desperate right now, but they're not desperate enough to where they're selling anything yet. That's when you know that they're in real bad shape. When they start, and I'm not talking about any franchises, because they've got tons and tons of like real estate and other things that you have no idea that they're invested in, that they can probably part with or finagle and use to get some money. Their biggest issue they've got going forward is by the end of this year, they've got to come up with, I can't remember the exact amount, but it's quite a bit to pay off Universal for Hulu. That's their big thorn in their side right now, because they don't have the cash, and they're gonna have to figure that out. So Mikey and a few others are thinking they're moving and shaking some things around so they can hopefully get a loan to pay for that by the end of the year.
Yeah. Declan, you're based in the UK. What's the thoughts about like Disney parks over across the pond as opposed to like here? Because I know that recently here in the States, we've had a lot of controversies surrounding like Disney World and stuff like that. But from what I can tell, basically, like the Disney theme parks in Europe and Asia seem to be doing really well. So I was just curious as to like what the perception is from like where you guys are.
I'm not really sure, to be honest, just because I never really hear it get talked about really over here. It's not really something that ever comes up or is like in the news, like especially with the ones in Europe. So I couldn't really say.
Right on. Have you ever been to a Disney World or Disneyland or
No,
anything like that?
no. I've never been to over to the US or Europe or anything like that. No,
You're not missing out.
no.
Yeah, we're practically down the street from Disneyland, and the last time I was there, I was like, I think once is enough for me.
Hey guys, if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and comment below on your favorite video as well. That goes a long way with helping us boost our channel and get out there in front of more people. And it lets YouTube know that we're doing something right. And if you want to catch us live, we go live 2 times a week, once on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time and on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join us there in the chat. We will see you on the live stream. Stay salty.